I said, Nogueira is a great fight for you. And he's just like, what are you freaking talking about? That sounds moronic. He's Nogueira. He's this, he's that. He's beat all these guys. And I go, I know. But his game will not work on you. Not very well. Like he will not triangle you. He will not be able to armbar you off his back. It just won't work that way. You're too big.
He say that usually the Japanese are hard to negotiate. He's always like, give me that, and he never accepted the price that he wanted to, so he ended up always fighting for less. He said the only fight that the guys never say anything was like when he say, we want you to fight the guy, and he say, no, the guy's too big, 400 pounds, like, I really don't want to fight, I just fought, like, so. And the guys, come on, I want you to fight. And instead of say no, he say, give me twice as much as you give me. And they didn't contest. They say, okay, done. So that was the only fight that he said that he wasn't hard to negotiate, like wasn't hard. And then he say, oh man, I should have asked for more.
Was 100-something thousand that were there. Thinking 91,000 people paid. Man, I remember seeing people, little heads down up there in the dome, babies crying on a crowd. It was incredible.
I was really nervous because Bob Sapp was a big guy, and he went to my room. He was kind of nervous. He went to my room and, hey, Mario, hey, what are you doing, man? You have a fight tomorrow. You should rest. Yeah, I came here. I want to talk to you and, relax a little bit. Okay, no problem. So when I looked, the guy was sleeping on the floor, man. He just slept on the floor. And I slept in the middle of the night and woke him up. Hey, man, go to your bed, man. He relaxed. He was so relaxed that he slept on the floor.
So, and that's the night before the Bob Sapp fight.
Yeah, before the Bob Sapp fight, he slept on the floor, and as I woke up in the middle of the night, hey, I heard some snoring. I said, am I alone in the room? I'm alone in the room or something? And I looked down, the guy was sleeping on the floor by my bed. I said, man, what are you doing? It's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And you were still here, go to your bed. Oh, yeah, okay, no problem. So he went to his bed.
First and foremost, it was an honor to be there. The landscape of mixed martial arts back in that day was, it was as cream of the crop as you could get. The UFC didn't have its stranglehold on the fighters at that point. Pride had some events that were going on that were just spectacular. Bob was a friend of mine. Bob is a friend of mine. Number of guys that were friends of mine at that time over there, Coleman and Fry and Randleman and Josh Barnett, and the list goes on and on. It was truly, for a guy like me, even though I was quote unquote towards the top of my career, to be in the presence of all those guys, man, they were all heroes of mine. My wrestling character evolved from them. Yeah, and then for Bob to get the opportunity to fight Nogueira, Bob was a different entity all in of himself. The size of that guy at that point and the strength is immeasurable.
And it was funny. I said, Nogueira, don't try to take this guy down. He's too heavy. You have to work a little bit around, move around a little bit, make him move, use your jab because your jab is good. Yeah, no problem, Mario. So first thing the guy does, he shoots for a double leg. And he almost died because, the guy, you saw what happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
He smashed Nogueira on the floor. Nogueira kind of slept for a half of a second, and then he came back. And I said, Nogueira, why did you do that, man? Man, when I saw that black guy in front of me, I said, no, I won't trade punches with this beast. I will try to take him down.
That was the Powerbomb. Nobody was counting that he was going to pick up Rodrigo and it's smashing on his head. In reality, I did not realize that he was out, He passed out. He passed out in the beginning. Rodrigo went out.
In Japan, we worked on a few things. One of them was the Powerbomb, because I knew Nogueira was going to shoot in on him. And I'm like, well, you're big enough, Bob. You're strong enough. And you were pro wrestling. So, here's how we're going to work this. So I'd take heavy bags and put them on the floor and have Bob snatch them up like he had a guy around the waist and suck the bag to the floor. In addition to working on not even so much his skill work with his hands, but just being able to throw nonstop and just keep going.
The training was really good. I really thought I was impressed with Bob Sapp because I really thought that he was going to get tired in the first round, and he didn't. He was really prepared for the fight.
It's hard to prepare a guy to fight Rob Sapp, right? You don't have partners. You're not going to fight. You got to combine two guys and take them around with a duct tape or something like this. Two 250-pound guys, but it's impossible to prepare somebody to train with Bob Sapp.
Nogueira continued to keep going. I just thought at any moment now, one of these hammer fists is going to turn Nogueira's lights out, but that we needed to get with it because this 10-minute round is going to be a hell of a toll on Bob. And I just remember in the corner, in between rounds, that Bob was exhausted and he was not looking as determined as how we started.
On the first break, I said, man, I was talking to him, and I saw that he was looking something behind me. He was like avoiding my eyes, and he was trying to look, around my head. I said, hey, what are you doing, man? I was explaining, the structure, and he was looking at the big screen. He was looking himself at the big screen. He got a cut a little below his eye. He said to me, hey, Mario, do you think this cut's gonna look bad after the fight? I said, come on, man, you are too ugly. Don't need to worry about that. Come on, focus on the fight. You won't get, you won't get worse. You are already too ugly. Forget about that, man. Focus. Look at me. He was not even worried about the fight. The guy was worried about his cut, and he was how he's gonna look after the fight.
We were walking back to the locker room. I was with Bob and his guys. Nogueira was in the locker room. He was sitting down in his locker. And Bob and everybody walks by, and he looks at me, and he stops me, and he goes, your friend, he tried to kill me. And I looked at him like, well, kind of isn't that the point?
That's what makes Nogueira, man. He is one of the most durable guys ever. Kudos should be given to Brazilian top team for their training at the time and having weapons like that in a guy's arsenal.
Came back and he was, as I told you, he was really well prepared. And when Nogueira is prepared, he never gets tired. And on the other way around, when the minutes and the pass, he gets stronger and faster, and he keeps going. So the guy couldn't. He was, Bob Sapp was overwhelmed by his rhythm, and he got the submission. It was a great night.
During those fights with Sapp and CroCop, he was able to withstand a tremendous amount of punishment and still submit them both later on. Was there ever a moment where you considered throwing in the towel during one of those fights, or those fights?
No, never. Ever.
Never any conversation about it backstage. Not even talked about.
No, never. We never thought about that. We knew that he could take a punch and he could keep going. We never thought that about that ever.
That ability, that unique ability to take such a punch in such an unbelievable way, is that something you think he's born with? Is that something you could prepare for in some way?
I think it's just his genetics. You see, we not just once, but a couple of times when we do the MRI of his head, his scalp was very thick. All the doctors said, "Oh man, this guy's head is thick. He could take a punch." It's not that. He also, because I was used to train with him grappling, and when we did grappling, I was used to punch him on the ground. We were used to simulate ground and pound a lot, and we would rotate many fighters, and I was a good grappler, man. I could fight with a lot of people.
Oh, of course.
And Nogueira, in Nogueira, man, he had that edge that few people had. That edge when you beat him up, when you start winning the fight, he doesn't like it. He didn't like it to be beaten. So he was, whenever I push him on the ground, because I was a ADCC champion. I was 3-time jiu-jitsu champion. I was a heavy guy. I knew his game. I always, sometimes I could put him in very bad positions. You know what? In all the times that I put him in a bad position, man, he got nuts, and he would come back and keep going. So he would make me regret, just because I push him a little bit. And he would, he was the kind of the guy that he would go as much as you punish him, he would come back stronger and meaner. And that was something that, I never seen in another fighter. Never, ever.